before we watch this set time, just look at these two. I mean, I wouldn't have the Elise, but the Exige and ooh, sweet. Oh, I can't wait. I cannot wait. Absolutely beautiful, to say the least. Let me be honest about that. I don't like the Evora. Evora's never been my type. I've seen so many Evoras, but like, it's never been me. At least I'm not too bothered about because it wasn't for me. Maybe because them two are just too small of a car. But the Exige was my shit. But this is about the Elise. So this is the farewell to the Elise.
Imagine for a second that we're not on some freezing cold ex-RAF airfield, but instead at a motor show with all the lights and glamour. Remember those? And there's going to be a new car unveiled. But before we get to that, I'm going to tease a few of the headline details. So it's a pretty two-seater sports car from a historic brand. Crucially, it weighs just 931 kilos. Power,
931. That's what makes. Oh, I love that. I love that about the Lotuses, man. They're so light.
40 brake horsepower, a manual gearbox, rear-wheel drive, 0 to 60, 4.1 seconds, and it costs less than a base Porsche Boxster. You'd be pretty excited, wouldn't you? I would be, certainly. So without further ado, I give you the new Lotus Elise Sport 240. But although this is a new car, after 25 years, this is also the final edition.
Yes, after a quarter of a century, Lotus has announced that production of both the Elise and the Exige will finish this year. So it's marking the occasion with a couple of special run-out models, and we thought we'd take this Elise Sport 240 for a brief farewell drive around its home track at Hethel. Outputs from the supercharged four-cylinder are up by 23 brake horsepower and 3 pounds-foot over the Sport 220, shaving a tenth from the 0 to 60 mile/hour time and boosting the top speed by a couple of miles an hour to 147. As well as the increase in power and the final edition decals, the car gets anthracite wheels as standard, a new TFT instrument pack, a new steering wheel, and the option of some special heritage paints. The price for all this? £45,500.
And just in case you're wondering, yes, a roof is included in that price. But I'm kind of in the opinion that, well, if it's not actually raining, I'll as well have the roof off.
That's...
Particularly when you've got a lovely bobble hat like this. I mean, it's a shame not to wear it, wouldn't it? So this is now the base of the Elise range. So it's not specifically set up for track work, but we are here at Hethel today. And it's so lovely being back in an Elise. I'll probably say that every time, but it's just so true. The feeling of a lack of weight is wonderful. This new steering wheel, lovely to hold, really ergonomic. Actually, it's a slightly flat bottom.
The steering wheel looks nice though. I like the look of it.
Which probably helps getting in and out just a touch. All the touch points really are lovely. Actually, there's Alcantara here. This gear shift with the exposed linkage, which fair enough, you know, you're not looking down at it all the time, but it's beautiful knowing it's there.
The pedals are perfectly placed too. In fact, the only thing I'd change would be the standard chairs, as I've always found them a little lacking in lateral support. So I'd plump for the optional sports seats, just for that last bit of connection, which is what the Elise is all about.
What this car does is allow you to really get into the minutiae of driving. So it's not a car for big skids, never has been really. And I'm as guilty as anybody for being a sucker for a bit of oversteer, but this car just lets you really concentrate on all little things that you hear people like Rob Wilson talking about. I was listening to a podcast with him the other day, the Stage by Stage podcast, and being able to take all the little bits of advice that he gives and just try and work on them. And this is the car that you really want to try and improve your driving, because every little bit of roll, bit of acceleration, little bit of steering, you notice through these long curves here. When you get it absolutely right, you hardly need any steering at all. And you notice how the car rolls, particularly on this.
Hey,
these are tragic times.
You should click right here and download
Tragic times. The fact that it's got an exposed gearbox and a nice steering, to be fair, I like it. Even though I wouldn't actually go for it, no way. But you know what? Still,
Touring.
It's like if I seen you one, I wouldn't even be mad. I'll just like, I see. It's exactly what a car's supposed to be, man.
Suspension rather than the cup or race suspension. Concentrate on getting your lines absolutely right and feel when the front starts to scrub. Line it up, just try and tell yourself not to brake, maybe just a lift is enough.
The only thing that's wrong with it is probably the ass. It's kind of got a weird ass. And the fact that in the speedometer it has kilometers per hour. Can you please translate it to English? The English is miles per hour. I don't know why this kilometers per hour is a thing. Absolutely ridiculous.
Just have confidence in the car, because it's so lightweight, every input has an instant reaction. Anybody can get into something like this and feel the difference that they make with throttle and brake and steering through here. Don't brake, just lift, and you get it much smoother. And this is a great circuit actually for trying this. We're using the southern loop of Hethel today, and fairly obviously this car should feel at home because it's its home track, it's where it's been developed. But what this track's great for is teaching you to really look ahead, link corners up, because like this section here, if you get it absolutely right, you barely need any steering input. The curbs just come out to meet you. Equally, through this section around here, you just feel the front there.
That's okay. I did say I like the steering wheel, which I do. This flat bottom stuff, I don't get it on the steering wheels, honestly. That's the annoying part. These flat bottoms.
You really know that you have to get each corner right, otherwise you mess up the whole sequence. It feels really quick as well, 240 brake horsepower. So that's double what the original S1 Elise had.
And talking of the original, how would you like to hear 4 geeky facts about that car and its development? You'd be delighted, I can tell. So here goes.
Fact number 1. Let's talk about front tyre sizes. Because on the S1 Elise, the front tyres were always a bit too wide. They gave slightly interesting on-limit handling characteristics with just a bit too much front grip. It's why the S2 Elise went to a narrower front tyre. And I always wondered, well, why did they have such a wide front tyre? Surely they must have known it. And it was because Roman Artioli, who owned Lotus at the time, also owned Bugatti and wanted as much sharing of manufacturers as possible. So they had to use Michelin, and the smallest tyre that Michelin did for a 15-inch wheel was a 185. So there you are. Fact number 2. We all know that at the heart of the Elise is its bonded extruded aluminium chassis, part of what makes it just so brilliant. But when they were developing this, because it was the first in the automotive sector, they had to find various sort of workarounds, one of which was actually getting the aluminium to stick to the bonding agent. And in order to do that, they had to coat the anodized piece of aluminium with a certain coating that was, well, like Teflon, really. So they used a non-stick coating to get it to stick.
That's mad.
Fact number 3 is that originally there weren't going to be any doors. It was just going to be a step-through design because it was going to be a track car, so they didn't think they needed the practicality of these things, which is why the sills are quite so high. Might still actually, well, a bit awkward, certainly in the S1, to get in and out of.
There's some flat shoes he's got on.
unless it's supremely flexible like me. Fact number 4. The seating position, the ambience in here is something I remember particularly from the very early Exiges as much as anything else.
Though.
They always felt, well, a bit like a miniature Group C racer. And that's no coincidence, because when they were plotting this car, Richard Rackham and Julian Thompson, the designer, were walking around the Donington collection. And when nobody was looking, they sat in a few of the cars. And the one that really got them excited was a Group C racer, with these big sills and down here the slightly sort of wraparound windscreen. That's what they wanted.
Mate, so it looks nice though. It looks like a nice cabin to just. Looks like a nice cabin just chilling, you know. I can see that. I can see why.
The interior really has changed very little over the years. At times, more carpet, leather and Alcantara has cloaked the aluminium.
Friggin' Alcantara needs to go in the bin as well.
In a bold attempt to lure Boxster buyers into the little Lotus. But really, it has always been very light on luxury. You can put a bed in a tent, but that doesn't make it a hotel. To be honest, I wouldn't want it any other way.
This new digital display in here, nice and simple. I've got it in the standard setting at the moment, which apes, in fact, those original stacked dials you had. And then if you press sport down here, you get a bar across the top, which is certainly slightly easier in your peripheral vision to see. We've got some shift lights as well, which frequently come on just out of this corner here, actually, because it's quite easy to run into the limiter. It's quite a soft limiter, I quite like it. It's not a harsh limiter, you just get bop, 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 which is quite fun, really. In the line, try and be neat. Grab another gear. The gear shift has certainly improved over the years. It used to be the case that you'd never really want to necessarily go for a gear because you were accelerating out of the corner when you were sort of off kilter, because finding it would be a little tricky.
That's me in every corner when I have to downshift or go up.
One of the most fun things of this is the way that it rides the curbs through here. They might not be the most aggressive curbs, but it's just a beautiful way it floats across them.
I'm telling you, I reckon I could literally spin out any car. Like, I think a lot of people, they can't spin out. I don't know what they would do, but I know I can spin. I haven't drove harshly on nothing, but if I drove like I drove in Forza, and the physics were actually like that, where you feel like you got power steering, that doesn't help you whatsoever. The funny thing is, the driving simulations, I don't need to prove it. I've left it in quite a few of my videos. You can see if you want to, but I don't care. But it feels like you got power steering. But I reckon I could spin out that car though. That's my point. I could spin out any car. That sounds like more like an epiphany I have, more than to do with this car. But yeah, that's why, because the car is very handily, and just seeing him the way he's not pushing the limits, but he's tapping it a little bit. I'm just there like to myself, I can spin that car out. I can make it spin out.
And just as lightness is notable in the ride, so it also makes itself felt under braking. The mixture of Brembo and AP racing calipers gripping AP discs all round. Bonus geeky Lotus fact, the first time AP racing brakes were fitted as standard to a road car was on the Lotus Carlton.
In sport mode, you also slacken off the ESC a little bit and get slightly sharper throttle response. Just when you want it to be playful, that's where you don't get the rewards really with an Elise. But in this instance, I think I'm actually happy to sacrifice that.
Neat and precise is the Elise way, always has been, and there is just so much feedback about how the car is moving around below the absolute limit of grip that you don't feel desperate to venture there.
There was a great quote I heard the other day that Dave Minter, who's one of the people instrumental in bringing the Elise to market said that Colin Chapman told him that a Lotus should be like a glove. Now we've all heard about the expression of it's you wear the car, but you can wear a baggy jumper. Colin Chapman took it a stage further, because a glove, every little reaction you make, it makes two. This is not a baggy jumper. This is definitely a glove.
It is sad that this is the end of the Elise, but do you know what? Much as it feels like a wrench, I think it's probably the right decision. Not because there is anything cripplingly wrong with the Elise formula, far from it. If anything, it feels more fresh and relevant now than ever, but I think people are too used to it. Through familiarity, it gets overlooked and has done for some time.
True.
Because the engineering isn't new, it's assumed to be out of date, which really isn't the case. No, it's the right decision, because it's time for a rebrand, so that a car from Lotus that weighs under a tonne, puts out good power to the rear wheels, has a manual box and possesses the legendary Lotus steering, can garner the sales it deserves. I don't know if that car is on the way, but it should be. Thank you, Elise.
For real, fam.
You've left big, lightweight shoes to fill.
Soldiers and participate in legendary battles of the Second World War.
You know, baby, you know, baby.
At the 1995 Frankfurt Motor Show, Lotus launched something new. Small, affordable, and with driver engagement at the forefront, it both harked back to the old days of Lotus, but also looked forward. It was packed with new technology and materials and looked unlike anything Lotus had done before. It caused waves and put Lotus on the top of plenty of people's lists.
Oh,
that car was this,
tiny it
the
is.
Elise.
Nah, see, that's already tempting me. I don't like the car, but the fact that it's so tiny, I just feel like tinkering with it and putting crazy mods on it and just doing silly stuff. I feel like going off road with this. I don't know. That's the first thing that came to my head. Modify off road. I don't know why. It just pops into my head. I don't know how I get these thoughts.
Following on from the complex front-wheel drive and comparative flop that was the M100 Elan, the Elise had some work to do. Julian Thompson, currently top dog at Jaguar Design, was the man who drew it.
I like the steering
Thompson,
wheels.
along with engineer and
Steering wheels are hard. I love the steering wheels.
best mate Richard Rackham were, at the time, two things: single and into motorbikes.
Things like comfort and technology aren't really a thing in here. After all, why would they be? This is a sports car for young people to go and do young people things in. It's low, its engine is slap bang in the middle, and it's angry and aggressive to look at. And under those aggressive looks is an industry first,
Not aggressive.
an extruded, bonded aluminium platform.
It looks like a damn bee. It don't look it.
This kept weight down, which was good for handling, and the new tech kept
We
costs down.
love low weighted car. We love those. Germans, out the window, out the window. You don't belong here. All you make is silly heavy cars. We love your cars, but damn, they're heavy, man. You don't listen. They don't listen. Germans do not listen.
Down, which was good for the customer. Not content with having a brand new platform, Lotus also decided to develop some new brakes. The Metal Matrix Composite, or MMC brakes, were made of silicon carbide sintered aluminium, which kept braking performance high. They were quite expensive though, and later cars got more regular stoppers.
With the bodywork, Lotus originally thought about aluminium panelling, but instead went for glass fibre composite clamshells, one on the front and one on the back. It's great once again for keeping cost and weight down, but could be a little fragile in places. One minor knock in the wrong spot means you could end up needing a new clamshell entirely.
Behind the driver is a 1.8 litre Rover-sourced K-Series engine. Now this is likely where some audience members may start making jokes about head gaskets going pop, a known K-Series foible, so go on, get out your systems. The K-Series was a light motor, and combined with a light body, light platform, light brakes and light everything, the S1 Elise weighed in at just 725 kilos. Despite a
My heart just... Ooh, baby.
modest 118 brake horsepower
That was just... I felt aroused from that, let's just say that.
and 122 pound-foot output, the Elise went from 0 to 60 in 5.8 seconds, 122 kilos. Despite a modest 118 brake horsepower and
That's
122
enough,
pound-foot
especially
output, the Elise
when
went
you
from
got
0 to 60 in
700
5.8 seconds and up
kilo.
to 126 miles per hour.
But that's a disappointment.
It was rapid for 1995, and to be honest, it's still rapid today. When it came out, it was the benchmark for handling, because it was just that good, or so the press said. However, it did have a slight reputation for being a little bit spiky in the early days. Over the years, suspension mods and what have you were introduced, so it was more sanitized. But still, what's it like then? Well, the steering is just, it's so good. Unassisted, of course, but the slightest input.
See, it's just ticks,
and the front wheels just do it. And they feed everything back to you. You know exactly what's going on underneath the front of the car. It feels incredible. It feels so good. You don't find steering like this anymore. Now the gearbox, oh, it's a really nice shift. It's short and it's sharp. So you dip the clutch and in. It's a tiny motor, like
quick.
that far. Which some gentlemen would say is about 6 to 12 inches, but really it's about that far. Dip the clutch and in. The clutch itself is super light too, so none of this is difficult. Throw that on top of the engine, that K-Series motor, get your head gasket jokes out of the way, but K-Series motor, it's really revvy and it sounds pretty good. It's quite boomy in the cabin, though with that roof, the cabin does sound quite echoey, which is a little disconcerting considering there is absolutely no room in here. There is no space for anything. You can feel why people were so obsessed with this car. You know why it was so well praised, and why when you get it, when you decide you want an Elise, you drive it, you understand where it all came from. This thing is absolute magic. If I didn't know this was a car from the 90s and the airbag should be a thing, it's quite conceivable that someone could release something like this today as a box fresh car and people would lose their minds over it. Okay, there's a few things here and there, but come on. Interestingly, the Elise wasn't supposed to be called Elise, it was supposed to be called the 111. It's Lotus type number. Every Lotus has ones. The electric hypercar, the Avaya, that's the type 130. However, at the last minute, then chairman of the company, Romano Artioli,
Because if you know what the 111 is, you know, mud.
decided that the new sports car wasn't going to have something as crass as a number being the groundbreaking breakthrough mega car that it was.
Because
Instead,
there
it
is
was
a
going to have a name.
$1,000 for one.
He decided to name it after his granddaughter, Elisa. And with that, a legend was born.
Oh, so it's Elisa.
It's fair to say that Elisa and her namesake left something of a mark. The Elise was affordable, looked great, and moved the game on from the old...
You just said it wrong. Everyone's been saying it wrong. It's Elise. No, Elise. No, Elise. Okay, it's Elise.
British sports cars. Over the years, there were a heap of special edition S1 Elises, each with different power outputs and all that stuff. Of course, there was the race car derived
Oh no! That is looking nice. That is looking nice.
Puts and all that stuff. Of course, there was the race car derived Exige and the frankly mad
No wonder why I didn't even clock it as my baby. That's why. Oh.
stuff. Of course, there was
My baby. Oh no, my baby. Look how good my baby looks and they're getting rid of it, fam. Oh. Oh my gosh. If Lotus do not top this, they don't top this.
was the race car derived Exige and the
twitchy
frankly
eyes.
mad 340R as well, but those are other stories, all of their own.
True.
Okay, there were a few flaws that we can't really overlook. It was difficult to get in and out of. The sills were quite wide and the metal floor, if you had slippery shoes, just made it even harder.
Yeah, flexible.
Yeah, getting in and out with dignity.
To be fair,
not
them
an
door
easy
sills
thing. The
quite
roof
hard.
was a pain to put on and
The door
take
sill.
off. And there were some build
Whatever it
quality
is.
issues here and there.
Frame
Rumours of
thing.
magazines, long-term test cars, roofs, ejecting themselves at speed have done the rounds. But the Elise was a big deal, and it didn't stop with the S1. In the year 2000, the S1 did have to go the way of the dodo thanks to crash safety regs, but that meant the S2 came along. And while the K-series motor that this one has stayed on for a while, it was soon replaced with a Revia Toyota motor.
Which was a good option, more modification and more reliability. When they did that, that was one of the best decisions Lotus made ever.
In 2010,
Lotus, you did well, man.
and the S3 came along. Given a nip and tuck over its life, the S3 came with plenty of engines,
I
suspension
remember
setups,
this.
and limited edition colourways. Some had wings.
Ooh, I like that one. I think it's the wing. Maybe it's the wing. I think it's the wing. Maybe it's the wing. I think I like wings.
Came with plenty of engines, suspension setups, and limited edition colourways.
Ooh.
Some had wings, some didn't. Some had modest power, some did not. The Elite
Damn. Is that why I don't like it? Because it doesn't have a wing. Lotus, they just look good with the wing, man. I could have a big wang. It could have a wang. And it just looked good, man.
ethos lasted a long time, but now it's time for something rather sad.
Hi there, I'm guessing if you're watching this,
Move,
like me,
fam,
you're a
you
residential
little ugly
landlord,
dude.
and you're probably thinking that
I can see why people think I live in a an economy.
This, friends, is the last Elise, the Sport 240. And by last Elise, I don't mean there'll be another one along in a couple of months. This is the last time this body and platform combo will be put together and sold by Lotus. After a quarter of a century, it's finally time for the Elise to end. In the
like how
middle
it's
is a
evolved,
240 brake horsepower, 181 pound-foot, 1.8 litre supercharged four-cylinder motor, which, via a very slick exposed six-speed manual gearbox, fires its grunt to the rear wheels only. 0 to 62 takes 4.5 seconds, and it'll top out at 147 miles an hour. It also gets a host of cosmetic upgrades, including some "Look at me, I'm the last ever Elise" final edition badging. There's a natty TFT instrument binnacle, and it weighs just 931 kilos. Okay, that is 206 more than the original car, but it's still naff all. You can pick from a variety of paints, add carbon to the car, trim your seats in different materials. There's loads of options, as you'd expect from a car's last triumphant outing. Lotus wants just under £47,300 for it. Strong money, sure, but this is the last time you'll be able to spend that on an Elise. And there are some...
I wish I could buy not an Elise and Exige right now. with the final edition, because we all know what's gonna happen. If you want this version, you're gonna have to stack up some extra chips, should I say?
Some people out there who will have to have the last car off the line.
Damn it!
Under here is 25 years of evolution, a quarter of a century of work, and it's all going to go away.
The Elise S1, 2 or 3 may never have reached Porsche Boxster levels of notoriety, may not be hanging out on every street corner, but it was something daring, something new, something exciting that nailed its brief so well the first time out the gate that it barely changed for a quarter of a century, and that needs to be celebrated.
It's still an absolute joy machine, this.
Facts.
The original is raw.
This is what you call true British, because you can just keep the same, make few changes, and you're good. That's what you call British. Cause like Bentleys, Aston Martins, they do that. Rolls Royce, they do that. Very subtle changes and just strive for excellence. But the thing is, it's like, you don't even strive for the excellence, it's just excellent as it is. It's just like, when brilliance is brilliance. Even though I don't like this car is brilliance. It's part of it's British brilliance. I'll say that for sure. It's a true British car.
It doesn't care about things like stereos and airbags and stuff like that. This feels like a more substantial car in every sense of the word. It's everything you expect a Lotus Elise to be. You don't buy it to do school runs in big shops, you buy it because you want a sports car and to have a bit of a giggle. And guess what? You'll have more than a bit of a giggle with this. This is a bittersweet moment. This is the last Elise that Hethel will produce. Or at least last Elise like this. What they're doing with the name, I don't know. But it is one of those kind of take stock moments. This is actually an ending. I don't like endings. Endings are rubbish because sometimes you look back afterwards and you just think, what could have been, what could have carried on. But in this case, this is what could have been. This is kind of ultimate road-going Elise. In 1995, the Elise was a groundbreaker, and for its entire life, it was used as a benchmark of how great a small sports car could be. The fact it's going means it will be missed by millions of people all over the world. But, as the cliche goes, it is better to have loved and lost, and all that jazz. Basically, for a short while there, we had something truly brilliant.
Yeah. Now it's getting its flowers after it's too late. Like I said, I'm not into it, but you know what, this documentaries or whatever, they're meaningful, and I champion and celebrate it. And it makes me feel for the people that I've lost their Elise. Cause I'm in dear pain that the Exige is going before I can even buy one. Okay, let me just. Now here's the fun. Why are they keeping the Vora, mate? I get it, I've seen more Voras, but frick's sake, man. Couldn't keep the Exige, man. You have to keep that little Wait. We're gonna configure this one next time as well. Next time. We'll go for the 250. Chest, man. Sharp pain. We're gonna configure this Damn, 50, 51. 51, mate. Oh gosh, oh gosh, oh gosh. 51. 51, oh gosh. Heritage. Oh, what is it? Vivid? Pearl. There's pearl. Oh. Burnt orange. Oh, I didn't even know it goes inside the car as well. I like this. Because it's a racing car. Of course we have. Let's take the roof off. I took the top off. I'm dripping like hot sauce. I got drinking this clean route. What's a backpack? Ooh, hard top. We'll go for the carbon fiber. The carbon fiber. Yeah. Yes. Obviously titanium exhaust. Ooh, add side skirts. Ooh. No, it doesn't. This makes everything carbon fiber. Poo. I want to take this off. I hope I can take this off. Obviously black rims. Red calipers, of course. Don't be silly. Ha! Ooh. Everyone loves those discs. Uh-huh. Friggin' Alcantara, man. How do you get rid of Alcantara? I've had enough of the Alcantara, but we gotta have it carbon fiber. No speakers fitted. Radio blanket, yes. We don't want radio. No air conditioning. Oof, oof, oof. This is a true car, man. This is a true car. This is absolutely true. I don't know what you heard, but let me tell you something. You don't need none of that stuff. I like that though. Look at that. Straight to business. Wow. $1,000 for one shoe. The roof on. Yeah. Yes. Looks proper. Oh, cruise control. Oh, do you put cruise control? I wonder how much weight that adds, but come on, man. Let's see. Ooh, baby. Seriously, you need to get that. This needs to go, fam. This seriously needs to go, fam. Oh my! Now I want this carbon fiber. This needs to be carbon fiber. Look at that. Ooh. Mini. Eeny, mini, miny, mo. Absolutely ridiculous. Look at the titanium exhaust. Oh my goodness. Trust me. Carbon fiber this out. And this up. Still wanna buy it. Let's see the specs. It's doing 3.9, 236, 149. I don't think I'm trying to help the car sell it me, but nah. I don't know if the car can sell me itself. I'll probably have to drive it. This one, you can't, like I said, you couldn't sell it to me. I don't know. I'm stubborn. I'm very stubborn about this car. I'm very stubborn. It's like the car ticks all the boxes, but it's like I think I love the I'm so stuck on the Siege that I can't love this. But this is a nice car though. But I recommend it. If you're having that package and it's costing you that much, what's the weight? So it's like 900. Yeah, it's like 900 kg somewhere. It has a better power to weight ratio of a BMW. So why not? Why not? Why not? Why not? Why not? I recommend you get it at the base price. Nope. Sorry. No. Not for 50 grand. Nope. Sorry. I can't do it. Can't do it. Nope. 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 No. Anywho. It's not worth the price tag to me. I wonder how much the Exige is. But we're gonna get into that anyway. So, in a bit, and I'll see you next time.